Hi, my name is Janelle, and I'm an adoption and change management practitioner here with today's tech tip on creating file links and how you can review your link sharing permissions over time. Let's take a look. So you can create a shareable link for your files from various locations. Quite often it's indicated by the lovely share icon that you see on the screen here, the little box with the arrow. So you can share documents from within them themselves when it comes to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote applications. You can also easily share your files from your OneDrive online as well as SharePoint online, and of course in your Teams file libraries. Your mobile apps are also a perfect place to create shareable links by clicking ellipses beside any file name and working through your menu options. And finally, you can also make use of Window File Explorer to share your files easily that way. Now, when you first share a file, you have two options, and that is to send the link, I should say, or copy the link. When you send the link within that menu item, you are immediately sending an email to whoever you've designated, and you can even write a little message within that window that opens for you with link sharing. Copying a link generates a URL for that file that you're wishing to share that you can then place into a multitude of locations. So it's a great way to add messages into Teams chat when you're referring to a specific file, as well as channel conversations, or even an email that you've already compiled, or perhaps a link within a document that allows people to get to further resources. Now, the most important part upon deciding whether or not you're sending the link via email or copying the link is to specify who has access. So that's the first thing we're going to address, is who do you want to have access to your file? Now, there are a number of link settings that you can choose from when it comes to this aspect. For your shareable link, the first one being anyone with the link. Now, this really leaves your file, your content wide open. People can do whatever they want when they've accessed your file through a link that's generated with this permission. It can be forwarded on, it can be copied, downloaded, renamed, and actually you will never know who it has been forwarded to and eventually who has that content of yours. So this is a bit of a permission that we tend to not recommend. And in fact, a number of organizations disable this capability because organization administrators can make that call. So there's a little X on that. The next is people within your organization with the link. So that equates to all the colleagues, all employees in your organization have access, whether or not they've received the link directly from you or perhaps forwarded from someone in a different department who has access to that link. Now, the other option is people with existing access, and this really applies to those Teams groups or SharePoint site members. So this is a great way to make use of links, to make things easily accessible to your colleagues that are within the same team or SharePoint site as you, and the permissions match up with those Teams and SharePoint permissions. And finally, specific people, which is a great one. You can really identify individuals themselves. So if I've been identified as being granted access to a file and I received that link directly from the file owner, I can view it. Or if somehow that link got forwarded to me from another individual, I can also view it. As long as I'm specified as a person, I can have access to the file through the link. Now that we've talked about who can access the file, the next important aspect is what can they do with it. So there are some other settings that you can manage that around editing capabilities. Allowing editing kind of just leaves your file wide open. Individuals can copy that content, download it, edit it, rename the file, even relocate it. So there's a lot of ability that an individual can do with the file with allowing editing. Now, the next level of control is having it open in review mode only. So this protects your content a little bit more. The people who have access to that file through the file link with this permission set can make comments and suggestions on the file, but they are limited beyond that. So that's a great way to collaborate within reason. And then finally, a next layer of really protecting your content is to block download. So this really puts your file into kind of a read-only mode. So this is great when you're dealing with things like of contractual nature that really no editing should occur on such documents. So the next thing I want to talk about is what do you do after you've granted access and created these shareable links to your files? Over time, it's great to develop the practice of monthly, quarterly, reviewing who you have granted access to and to what degree, what kind of editing capabilities. There are two ways I want to talk about reviewing your link sharing, and one is through File Explorer. So in File Explorer, we always have those status symbols that let you know whether or not your document's just sitting in the cloud or if it's been downloaded onto your device. Along with that is a little person figure will show if you have actually shared that content and created a shareable link for it. So that's a great easy way to browse and see what files you have shared. And then from there you can easily manage. And I'm going to show this a little bit in real time so you can have a better understanding. So here's File Explorer, for example. Here's that status column. And you can easily see that there's this file customer brochure and even quarterly sales that have been shared. Now, if it decides that I don't want to have people have access through the link anymore, I simply can right click, I select the item, right click on it, go to share. From here, you're going to see at the bottom of the window the shared with. If I click into shared with, this is where I have the ability to manage the editing capabilities associated with the link, as well as who I have shared it with. Now this link I can change what editing capabilities a person can have by clicking that ellipses beside the link name. I can keep it as the individuals can edit, or I can change it to can view only. The great thing about going into here and making those adaptations is that it doesn't regenerate a new link or anything. If that link is out there in existence, those individuals can still access the file, but the editing permissions have changed. And finally, as well, you can simply identify if you want to remove someone from on an individual basis. So I can see here that this file is shared with Amterdemo in the situation, and if I want to remove them, I simply click this X, and they no longer have access if they try to use that file link. So that's how you can audit your link sharing that you've done through File Explorer. Now next is my preferred way, the best way in my opinion, for managing your links, and that's through OneDrive Online. And the reason for this is because there's a shared menu that lists out very nicely all the files that you have shared. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to bring over OneDrive Online. So as you can see here in my menu, I have a shared option. When I click this, I get to a list of items. I have the two tabs, shared with you and shared by you. So of course, shared with you is colleagues and individuals who have shared documents with you, and you can quickly see those. Shared by you is where you want to go to audit anything that you have created file links for. Now, when you're in this list, if you decide that there's a file you want to make changes to, you want to manage that access, you simply select that file, and along the top, you'll see some new menu items, and you can click into Manage Access, And from here, once again, you have those similar capabilities like we saw with File Explorer, where with the ellipses, you can change edit capabilities and you can identify individuals who have access and remove them if you see the need. So OneDrive Online, I think, is a fabulous way to audit what files you have shared over time and maybe make adjustments. This could apply if individuals have left the organization, perhaps a colleague's role has changed, or a project has come to an end. Now, finally, I just want to talk about the fact that keep in mind that files in your OneDrive are attached to you, the individual employee. So if something should happen, you might leave an organization, those files essentially disappear. So if there are files that you are sharing frequently, definitely think about moving them into a team that might be appropriate or a SharePoint site where there's more of that group permissions around who can access those files. And so definitely if you find yourself sharing a OneDrive file to more than say 2 individuals, that might be leading into more of that collaborative workspace environment that is needed for around that file. And it's good point of practice is to move that file into a Teams channel and or a SharePoint site and collaborate it on those platforms. So thank you for watching, and I hope you had some good takeaways on this one. Take care.